A very warm welcome to all the participants for the international webinar series Pandemic and Beyond. Today is the continuation of our fourth series of the international webinar, and I am happy to welcome all the national and the international participants for the webinar today. A special welcome to our principal, Dr. Lally Matthew, and to our HOD, Dr. Ms. Divya R. And a very big welcome to our speaker today, Dr. P.M. Girish. To talk about Dr. Girish, his MPhil and PhD is in the field of linguistics and power studies. Being an educationist, Dr. Girish has served in various institutions like the Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore, Sri Sankaracharya University, Kaladi, Regional Institute of Education, Mysore. At present, he works as a lecturer in the Department of Malayalam at the University of Madras. Being a renowned writer, Dr. Girish has written both in English and Malayalam, and some of his works, being a versatile writer, are Keralathile Akshara Bhasha, Adhigaravum Bhashyavum, Zero Degree, and his famous book, Critical Discourse Analysis, Linguistic Studies in Malayalam. It's been a pleasure, sir, to have you here as a speaker, and your reputation and eminence, I'm sure, has given a big appreciation by the participants today. We have more than 1,000 participants streaming YouTube, live streaming there, and we have 100 more in our Google Meet also. It's been a pleasure welcoming you, sir. And today's topic would be COVID discourse, cognition and language. A very hearty welcome on behalf of the Bharat Mata fraternity to our speaker today. Dr. Girish, the podium is all yours.
Hi friends, good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers of this international webinar series on pandemic and beyond for inviting me to take part in the webinar. I also thankful to the principal and the Department of English and Other Languages, especially Mrs. Darshana Thambi, Professor of Malayalam, Bharat Mata College, Commerce and Arts, Alva, Ernakulam. All of you know, almost the entire world is in the midst of global pandemic disease COVID-19. The academic program like webinar is a way of reciprocal communication. It becomes a sort of lingua franca, within quote, among the academicians. So today we are going to discuss on COVID discourse, cognition and language. We can start with cognition. What is cognition? Generally speaking, cognition is a process by which knowledge and understanding is developed in mind. That is, it's a mental process for acquiring language, acquiring knowledge from outside of the world. So discourse, it is an umbrella term used in different schools of thought such as history, sociology, cultural studies, and linguistics, etc. I focus on its linguistic meaning. So it may be defined that discourse is any connected space of speech or writing in its social context. I repeat, discourse is any connected piece of speech or writing in its social context. It is an interactive and communicative dimension of language. The study of discourse is known as discourse analysis. In this context, I would like to tell that there is certain difference between critical discourse analysis and discourse analysis. Critical discourse analysis, or CDA, focuses on power and ideology hiding the text. It tries to analyze wicked aims covertly presented in the text. So we focus on linguistic structure of discourse. Discourse, as I said, is social statements. There are a lot of discourse such as political discourse, is a set of discourses like this. Then come to COVID. Everybody knows. COVID is a disease caused by a new strain of coronavirus. What is the etymology of COVID? Etymologically speaking, that word can be divided into three. One, co. C-O, co stands for corona. V-I, V stands for virus, and D for disease. What is disease? Generally, disease is a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant. Each disease produces some symptoms. Disease makes in our society too. Disease makes some disorder in our society too. It means disease has a wide range of semantic sense since it is strongly connected with the socio-political and economical system of our society. It means disease can be connected with economic, institutional, medical, philosophical, literary, and artistic practices. That means it helps define disease as a cultural and sociological category. It's a social category. All these are well connected with the language. For example, the present situation is she. Some of you might have created drawings, paintings related to COVID-19. Some of you may write poetry, short stories, TikToks, and trolls on COVID-19 and its film. At least some of us may be watching these sort of different discourses. That means this COVID discourse itself contains a lot of different discourses. So therefore, COVID-19 pandemic is a set of discourses, we can say. Actually, we are not fighting with COVID-19 alone, but fighting against socio-political practices such evoked in this discourse. Then COVID discourse and cognition. I already defined cognition. Now we are going to connect cognition with COVID discourse. In this context, I would like to put forward some of my hypotheses on COVID discourse. So when we do some research, we have to make certain hypotheses. What is hypothesis? It's a tentative answer to the research questions. So I'm putting forward some of hypotheses like 1, the central concern or focal attention of COVID discourse is human body. I repeat, the first hypothesis is the central concern or focal attention of COVID discourse is human body. Second, all social statements, that means discourse, is basically evoked from embodied cognition. That is very important. All social statements regarding the COVID discourse is basically evoked from embodied cognition. Before explaining embodied cognition, let's have a look on body. What is body? The body is the physiological and biological entity that provides the basic foundation for an autonomous agent to be made, survive, and reproduce. It has different parts, like that, organs, and different functions such as biochemical, neurological, and sensory motoric process. So embodiment in this context, it refers to the experience that arises from the living body in its interaction with the physical structure. Embodied cognition refers to the experience that embeds from the physical body in its interaction with the physical and socio-cultural atmosphere. I repeat, because this is one of the key points of the talk. Embodied cognition refers to the experience that embeds from the physical body in its interaction with the physical and socio-political reasons. Now, all of you may be aware of we are under emergency. The states like America has already declared emergency. We are acquainted with the political emergency. A state of emergency is a government is empowered to perform action or impose policy that it would normally not be permitted to undertake. A government can declare such a state during a natural disaster, civil unrest, armed conflict, medical pandemic, or epidemic or other biosecurity risk. Now, we are facing that medical pandemic or biosecurity risk. That is the reason for declaring an emergency. So, in this context, body as I told you, makes some hierarchical order in our society. There are a lot of body, I told you, when we connected with the embodied cognition, there is social body, political body, environmental body, gender body, and so on. Here, we will focus on two types of body. One is physical body, that is physical body, and second one, virus-affected body. We can say viral body, irrespective of other bodies. Meaning is embodied in this discourse in the sense that COVID discourse has its own lexicon. So, for example, lot of the words evolved from this discourse, such as virus, viral, pandemic, social distancing, quarantine, room quarantine, institutional quarantine, community transmission. Then regarding treatment, rapid test kit, COVID plus, COVID positive, COVID negative, fatality rate, recovery rate, case study, vaccine, medicine, and so on. And some sort of phrases are also used in this discourse, like stay home, stay safe, whistleblower, community kitchen, break the chain, like that. These are all overtly or covertly evoked from our embodied cognition. So, our bodily experience, it is expressed through another cognitive element known as metaphor. That is, strictly speaking, it is conceptual metaphor. Our bodily experience are expressed through conceptual metaphor. It differs from the conventionalized metaphor or traditional way metaphor. All of us are acquainted with metaphors. In traditional way, what is metaphor? Metaphor is a figure of speech in which one thing is compared to another by saying that one is the other. Traditional way, metaphor is a figure of speech. Poetry, we can say, some short story and novels also express that sort of metaphors. Metaphors is a figure of speech in which one thing is compared to another thing by saying that one is the other. For example, Chief Minister is a lion. There are two entities in this statement. One is Chief Minister, other one is lion. Two unlike entities are compared together in this way. But cognitive science or cognitive linguistics are opposed to this conventional notion of metaphor. And traditional way of assessing metaphor, it does have, metaphor is a property of words. It's a linguistic phenomenon. Second, metaphor is used for some artistic and rhetorical purpose, such as when Shakespeare Shakespeare writes, all the world is a stage, all world is a stage. Third, metaphor is based on resemblance between the two entities that are compared and identified. Here, I'm using the basic idea of conceptual metaphors developed and conceived by two well-known linguists, cognitive linguists like George Lakoff and Mark Johnson. The metaphor we live by one of the well-known books in this field. They say metaphor is a property of concept instead of language. Metaphor is a property of words and not of words. The function of metaphor is better understand certain concept and not just some artistic or aesthetic purpose or rhetorical purpose in the literature. Then another feature is metaphor is often not based on similarity. And more important, metaphor is pervasive both in thought and everyday language. So, therefore, it is an integral part of cognition. Conceptual metaphors used effortlessly in everyday life of ordinary people, not just by writers, academicians, or like us. So, metaphor is used effortlessly in everyday life by common people or laymen. Metaphor, far from being a written, though pleasing linguistic ornament, is an inevitable process of human thought and reasoning. Lakoff and Mark Johnson, showed convincingly that metaphor is pervasive both in thought and every language. So, thought is metaphor, basically, we can say. So, these conceptual metaphors are mapping between two different conceptual domains. One is source domain, other one is target domain. What is source domain? Source domain, the conceptual domain from which we draw metaphorical expression to understand another conceptual domain is called source domain. The conceptual domain from which we draw metaphorical expression to understand another conceptual domain is called source domain. Then target domain. The conceptual domain that is understood this way is the target domain. For example, life is a journey. What life is a journey? Here, life is the target domain, while journey is the source domain. So, see that life is a journey is a metaphorical statement are used in different aspects to express our emotion related to our life. See the journey. What are the main features of journey? That journey here goes under source domain. There must be a traveler, destination, routes, sometimes some impediments to travel. For some journey, we'll have some guides. Guides may be there, may not be there. The distance traveled, landmarks, crossroad, etc., etc. When we compare life, the target domain, the person leading a life is a traveler. His purpose is, his or her purpose is destination. The means for achieving purpose is routes. Difficulties, and we'll face so many difficulties in our life. That difficulties in life is impediments to travel. Sometimes to solve some psychological problem, we need counselors. That counselor is our travel guides. Then progress. Let's discuss some progress. This distance traveled is equal to progress in our life. Things you couch your progress by in life is crossroad. Material resource. See that. So life is journey is a statement. It is a mapping between two conceptual domains such as source domain and target domain. Now you see an example. I am at a crossroad in my life. It's a metaphorical expression, journey. So we can call it as journey metaphor. So metaphor is defined as understanding one conceptual domain in terms of another conceptual domain, that is source domain and target domain. We have already explained. So when we talk about life in terms of journey, like that sometimes for journey metaphors, about argument in terms of war and so on. So I'll give you some more examples, common examples in our life related to journey metaphors. One is, she is never let anyone get in her way. She never let anyone get her way. I am where I want to be in life. It can be extended. So, for example, reading. Reading a letter is journey. So we'll say, if you get a letter or book, I have just gone through your letter. It's a journey metaphor. Sometimes class also have sometime journey metaphor like that. The teacher can say it like that. We can start with Shakespeare, go through Byron, and ends up with Keats like that. So journey metaphor. In almost all of our emotions and the domains, this journey metaphor will come. Then see that a journey does have one starting path should be the destination, at least. That starting point, we can say source, then path, then destination is God. That means SGP. These are the three basic structure of journey. Journey is a concept. That concept does have at least these three structure. This structure is known as image schema. This structure is known as image schema. SPG or source, path, goal. These three structure, that means image schema, make the concept journey. Mark Johnson says, our bodily movements and interaction in various physical domain of experience are structured. This structure is known as image schema, as I said. Image schema projected by conceptual metaphors. Image schema projected by metaphor. Repeated bodily interaction of similar kind lead to the formation of image schema, guiding our understanding of verbal expression. Repeated bodily action. Start, for example, journey. We should start, we should walk or run, and we should reach some destination. That sort of repeated bodily interaction of starting, going, and ending leads to formation of image schema of journey. It means all metaphorical expression do have certain image schema. So, Mark Johnson, he has identified some of the basic domain and its image schema. Basic domains actually is an output of our basic experience. For example, space, S-P-A-C, space. How we conceive space? By image schema. That means the basic domain space does have image schema such as Up, space have, up, down, front, back, left, right, near, far, center, contact, side, like that. Another one is containment or container. A container must have inside, outside, periphery, sometimes full, sometimes empty. Then locomotion and balance is another basic domain. Balance, we conceive balance by using image schema, or balance does have image schema like compulsion, blockage, counterforce, diversion, removal, enablement, attraction, resistance. So here identified, we are in this talk, we are taking care of space container only. Johnson identifies some more basic domain entries, its image schema like force, unity, multiplicity, identity, existence, scale, sequence, like that. In short, image schema plays a central role in the conceptualization of metaphor, that is conceptual metaphors. Now, we are going to discuss metaphorical expression in COVID discourse. This metaphorical expression makes the cognitive structure of COVID discourse. Actually, I have collected data from some of the newspapers and channels like NDTV. So I'll give you only a few examples because within the short span of time, I can't give all the examples together. I'll take only some. See, one expression from the newspaper or citation from the newspaper is like that. I will give you some metaphorical for newspaper says, case is traveler or case is a traveler. That is metaphorical statement. See its example. Newspaper says, the number of cases reached 20,000 in Chennai. The number of cases reached 20,000 in Chennai. Another expression, the virus travels among black people more. The virus travels among black people more. Here, virus is a traveler. By that, sometimes emotion is traveler. For example, we must all be practicing social distancing, but let's not distance ourselves from ideas of empathy, generosity, and care. That is our emotion. Our emotion or our empathy towards other people in the society. The domain of pandemic discourse, COVID, is understood in terms of a traveler or emotion. Now, when we go through the COVID discourse, we can identify it is enriched with war metaphors. Any epidemic or any sickness is connected to war metaphors, we know. The domain of disease is understood normally. The domain of diseases, not COVID-19 alone, the domain of disease is understood in terms of war. Elements from the war domain like attack, defense, retreat, etc. are projected onto abstract domain of disease in this statement. It is also relevant in our COVID discourse also. War on terror, war without and B, there is very frequent metaphor statement is COVID is our third world war. COVID is our third world war. Fight against COVID. It's also come under war metaphor. Combat with COVID. It's another expression. Another example you see, we will survive. Now here, in this war metaphor, patients are battlefield or combat zone. Health workers such as doctors, nurses or soldiers. Patients are battlefield or combat zone, whereas health workers like doctors, nurses or soldiers under this domain. Another expression you see is a remark by one of the military head of. He says, I express gratitude to all those involved in the fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic across the country. I express gratitude to all those involved in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic across. It also comes under war metaphor. Then another expression you see, I salute the COVID-19 warriors. I salute the COVID-19 warriors. Who are the soldiers or warriors here? Doctors, nurses, sanitation workers, police and home guards are the warriors. Then another thing, the vaccine stands as a weapon. Vaccine can prevent intracellular infection. This is another statement. Protective effects of virus. So, as I said to you earlier, it is rich and rich with war metaphor. And another metaphor what I found in this discourse is COVID is animal. For example, scientists believe that killer virus jumped from animal to human. Killer virus. Scientists believe that killer virus jumped from animal to human. Here, COVID is understood in terms of animal. See another example. The coronavirus rose through Brazil with high case fatality rate. I repeat, the coronavirus rose through Brazil with a high case fatality rate. The virus is killing black people in large number. The virus is killing black people in large number. The domain of disease is understood in terms of animal. That's why it comes under animal metaphors, because its source domains does have that image schema. Then another thing, container metaphor. A container, you see, we have already discussed image schema of container. It does have inside, outside, periphery. It may be full, may be empty. These are the things. The container schema arises from bodily interaction with inside and outside. For example, heart is a container. Heart is a container. With open heart, we'll tell. Another expression is that everything is in my mind. Say, like that. COVID discourse use containment zone, red spot, green spot, orange spot or orange zone. This domain of disease is understood in terms of container. Containment zone, red zone, green zone and orange zone, red spot are frequently used in this discourse to refer to the frequency of COVID cases. The frequency of the COVID, right? Here color also comes as image metaphor, because each color refers to the quantity and the frequency of the COVID cases. Zones are container that has inside, outside and periphery. COVID case or patient is content of this container, the source or the zones. That's why red zone refers to total number of active cases. The total number of active cases means that our total number of patients are the contents of the container, that means zones. Green zone refers to zero confirmed case till date or no confirmed case in the last 21 days is the definition for making green zone. Green zone refers to zero confirmed cases till date or no confirmed cases in the last 21 days. Then orange, please. It's a mixture. This one is a mixture, which are neither defined as red nor green. The spread of the virus is contained to small geographical area. I have taken this example from one of the newspapers. You see, the spread of the virus is contained to small geographical area. This geographical area is a container and the contents of that container is patients, that is virus affected people. Now, I think then if we thoroughly check in the COVID discourse, of course, we will find more metaphors, conceptual metaphors, like metal metaphors, different sort of metaphors. These are only some examples. Now, I'm going to another cognitive element. This very relevant in this discourse is known as metonymy. You know metonymy. Metonymy. An expression is used to refer to the referent of a related expression. For example, head of the department, head of the institution. Here, head stands for person, that official. Sometimes we often use the statement like that. I have read Shakespeare. I have read Shakespeare means here Shakespeare stands for the works written by Shakespeare. I have read Shakespeare means I have read the works written by Shakespeare. Here Shakespeare stands for the works written by Shakespeare. So when we analyze this statement, it is developed from a relation such as part-whole relation. Shakespeare is part and the works written by him is whole. That is part-whole relation. It's a metonymical expression. Then another expression we frequently say, I'll be brief. Now you may be thinking of English brief. I'll be brief means I will speak briefly. I will be brief is equal to I will speak briefly. It means metonymy involves a stand for relationship. Quotation, stand for relationship between related parts of conceptual domains. Metonymical usage, as I told you earlier, are relevant in the COVID discourse. You see that COVID itself, that etymology in the beginning we explained COVID. Co stands for corona. That is part-whole relation. V, that is part, means stands for whole virus. D for disease. All abbreviations are metonymy. EMS is a metabolical expression. Like that, lot of things in political domain and sociological domain, we can say that KSRTC. So, metonymical expressions like that, some medical terms and medical treatment can be used metaphorically in the COVID discourse. Say some direct expressions connected with COVID metaphor. This example I have already cited for explaining conceptual metaphor. See, the coronavirus roars through Brazil. Roar is a part which stands for lion. Roars. That's why there is a metonymical expression. That means, I repeat, the coronavirus roars through Brazil with a high case fatality rate. We have already mentioned it. And another expression you see, lack of bed is major worry. Lack of bed, we are facing actually this a grim reality. Lack of bed is major variety. Here bed is the part and it stands for, the hall means hospital. Bed stands for hospital. Another citation you see, meet the faceless army that helped Kerala keep the virus at bay. I repeat, meet the faceless army that helped Kerala keep the virus at bay. Here, faceless army is the part and it stands for the health care workers. There are so many, like doctors, nurses, police, and sanitation workers, etc. So these are the two main elements which make COVID discourse as cognitive structure. Now, I think time is up. Let me conclude. COVID discourse is an integral part of cognition, and body is the focal point of this discussion. The interaction of our body with the physical and the socio-political atmosphere makes the COVID discourse as the embodied entities. Through the various cognitive features like conceptual metaphor and metonymy. There are other cognitive processes like figure background, frame, categorization, like prototype and idealized models. All are working together to make this COVID discourse as a cognitive, well-structured form. So then COVID discourse is a product of embodied cognition. The words used in this discourse are evoked from embodied cognition, almost all that. Embodied cognition is expressed through conceptual metaphors. COVID discourse enriched with conceptual metaphors like journey metaphors, war metaphors, container metaphors, animal metaphors, and so on. And it's also rich with metonymy, I told you. COVID discourse is a direct expression of our thought process. So, let me stop. I'm waiting for your valuable comments and respond. Once again, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you all.